Welcome to Change Nation, a program brought to you by First30days.com. Here's Ariane.
Hi there, I'm Ariane, and welcome to a special edition of Change Nation. Here at First 30 Days, this year has been extraordinary for this podcast. We've been very fortunate to have several true inspirational experts, authors, leaders, even world leaders come into our humble studio and share really their best tips. What we thought we'd do now for the holiday season is to really give you some of the very best things that we heard, sort of those nuggets of wisdom in clip form that we wanted to share with you for this special holiday season. Maybe some of them will help you keep going with that change or even get going with that change you've always dreamed of making. First up, we have Wayne Dyer, who is a dear friend of mine, also known as the father of motivation. His most recent book is Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. On Change Nation, I asked him what the Tao meant to him and how it could really help us overcome some of those most difficult emotions that tend to show up during times of change.
There is nothing to fear. That once you get your ego out of the picture, once you get the idea of who you are, which is that who I am is what I do and what I have and what I look like and what I accumulate and what my reputation is, and all of these things is, what Patanjali called the false self. Once we recognize that this is not who I am, that who I am is like an infinite divine being and is a product of love and is returning to love, and I can stay in that peaceful place, then as the Course in Miracles says, there's really only two emotions to look at. There's only fear and love. And that which is fear cannot be love, and that which is love cannot be fear. So if you make your primary relationship in this world not to your parents and not to a lover and not to your church and not to your school and not to your culture and not to anything to your business or whatever, but if you make your number one primary relationship to the Tao, to Source, to God, things like fear and anxiety and worry and hatred and those things that are all subjects that Lao Tzu addresses throughout the 81 verses of the Tao, they can no longer exist.
Next, we have Bob Harper, the gorgeous trainer on NBC's hit show, The Biggest Loser. So many people love and adore this man for what he's been able to inspire in people and how much weight that they've dropped. His book is Are You Ready to Take Charge, Lose Weight, Get in Shape, and Change Your Life Forever? We asked him what really makes the difference in people that lose weight forever.
I think that what makes my book different is that it's definitely hits more home on the psychological end, because I've been working with contestants on The Biggest Loser for such a long time now, and I think that the common denominator that I have found with them is their lack of self-worth. And so for me, I get in touch with that part, that inner compass, and dial them back in where they grow more accepting of where they are, where they're more realistic with their goals, and the weight starts to fall off. And to me, my book is a lifestyle change as opposed to it just being get a six-pack in 6 weeks.
Now on to finances. 2008 was certainly one of the most challenging years financially for most people. I think a lot of us are trying to understand what happened, accept what has happened, and also try and find ways now of looking forward into what's possible, smart decisions we need to be making, how to pay off some debt, and also what to do with some of the cash and our savings that we do have. The expert that I wanted to really share with you today is someone who's written several best-selling books, all in the finance area. His name is David Bach. You might have heard of Start Late, Finish Rich, and also the famous Automatic Millionaire. He shares his tips with us right now on what we must all do looking forward into the next year.
If I was to come into your life and help you fix your finances in 30 days, one of the things, there's a handful of things I would do. I would get you to pay yourself first. If you had a home, I'd have you look at doing a biweekly mortgage. Very, very simple. If you do a biweekly mortgage, you go from paying one payment a month to paying half of that payment every 2 weeks. So let's say you spend $1,000 a month right now on your mortgage. If you split that in half and you went $500 every 2 weeks, you would pay a 30-year mortgage off in 23 years. The average person who listens to this would save over $50,000 in interest payments by just making that one change. So I'd have you call your bank, see if they offer a biweekly mortgage payment plan. Many banks today are offering this for no cost. And again, what makes it easy is they'll take the money out of your checking account every 2 weeks for you automatically to pay your mortgage, so you'll never have late payments, and you get out of debt sooner. Another thing I would have you do is I'd have you really track where your money's going. So, in the first 30 days, one of the biggest things you can do is really figure out, where are you spending money? I challenge people to find their latte factor. So if they go to our website at finishrich.com, we have a latte factor calculator. They can plug in the amount of money they can save daily. They can plug in how many years out they want to save the money for, and it will give you a calculation of what you could potentially have.
Now we're going to talk about something that a lot of us have trouble talking about, and that is sex. We had Dr. Ian Kerner on the show a few months ago, and he's written several books about this subject, including a book called Sex Detox. Despite the somewhat controversial title, you're going to want to listen into this because he shares really the biggest mistake that holds people back from some of the very best sex that they'll ever experience.
If you're in a relationship and the foreplay really sucks, or you don't like the way your guy kisses anymore, or there's some sort of fantasy you want to share, I think one of the mistakes is that we often jump to taking it seriously, or we jump to giving feedback, or we jump to giving instructions, when really talking about sex should be sexy, creative, fun, and naughty, and a little body. So I think just being able to talk about sex is actually a gigantic step. And I don't mean talking about it in the way that you hear on a TV show, like have the conversation. I just mean being able to be fun and creative and be able to laugh at sex a little bit too.
Last but not least, I spoke with author and motivational speaker Gail Blanke. She provided us with one of the very best tips that I heard about reinventing yourself, thinking through what's important, and also finding the courage, self-esteem, and confidence to really face any change.
You've got to have a song. You've got to find what your song is, your power song, and sing it. You've got to have that song that does it for you. The one that makes you feel okay. If I sing that song, I got everything I need going for me. It's the one that makes you remember that you're hot, that you've got it. And one fellow I coach who's head of this, a huge corporation, and he's Austrian, and he's a pretty serious guy. So he's a classical guy. So his song is the Triumphal March for Maida, right? And he hears that and hums it when he goes into meetings, when he goes into tough analyst conference, things like that. On the other extreme, I was working with a wonderful young woman who had been out of a job for quite a while, and she was having a tough time. And she finally found the position that she really wanted, and she had the final interview coming up. It was a job at MTV. And I said, okay, you got to have your song. All right. She found her song. She belted that baby out all the way to her interview. She called me right afterwards and said, Gail, I got it. They offered me the job. I was so hot. I was irresistible. And her song was Elton John's The Bitch Is Back.
I love it.
And that did it for her.
I hope you found these tips helpful and that you'll join me every Friday for another episode of Change Nation. You can listen to us online at first30days.com and, of course, also on iTunes. Until then, have a beautiful, safe, relaxed, and happy holiday. Thanks for watching.